Eamon Tuohey of Rahan, County Offaly in Ireland, was a turf cutter who went out with friends for a night of drinks in the nearby town of Clara. It was the 1st of February 2002. He would last be seen alive at 4:20 a.m. on the 2nd. 1 week later, his brother Edwin would find his body in the River Brosna. Irish police, better known as the Gardaí, concluded that his death was the result of suicide. However, his family have widely contested this verdict and believe the investigation was at best unprofessional and at worst negligent. An inquest ruled the death to be the result of drowning after being submerged in cold water. A number of details point away from the verdict of suicide. The first piece of information, which may have led some to insist on a more thorough investigation, was the fact that Shane had been on the receiving end of sustained verbal and physical attacks in the months before his demise. The men involved were his age, from the same area, and it's been reported that an assault took place on the night that he disappeared. Some of the men responsible were also among the last to see him alive. A member of this group later made a comment to Shane's father, Eamon. He told him that Shane had been assaulted before his disappearance. This account of assault took place during the initial search for Shane on the Monday after his disappearance. Eamon was aware that the man was known to have been one of the men his son was last seen with. As residents and family friends gathered for the search, Eamon walked over to this man to ask if he had any information relating to the night of Shane's disappearance. After an exchange of words, Eamon says he gave the man a lift to meet his girlfriend. On the way, he says he was told that he had done nothing to Eamon, but that somebody else had. An altercation took place after words were exchanged over whether Shane could get a lift from Clara to his home in Rahan. According to this man, Shane looked through the front passenger window of the car. When he did, the occupant, quote, opened the door out with as much force as was humanly possible, unquote. This action caused Shane to lose his balance and fall against a wall approximately 6 feet behind him. Edwin, Shane's brother, called the same man and, according to him, received the same account. This phone call was made with the speakerphone turned on and was heard by Edwin's friend, Elton Delaney. Eamon went to the Gardaí the following day to give an account of the man's version of events. He was, in his opinion, met with indifference. 4 days after the visit, the Gardaí interviewed this man. A short statement was given, this time without any mention of an assault. 2 days later, another statement was given. In this, he denies any assault took place. Other men who were reported to be in the car were also questioned. However, the man said to have used the car door for the assault was not interviewed until 6 months after the incident. It has been stated in a number of newspaper reports that the statements given contradicted each other in a number of ways. Gardaí did not, however, press the issue, and the inconsistencies in the stories were never ironed out. The alleged disinterest shown by the Gardaí was compounded by their failure to commit fully to a search for Shane. Local residents from the Clara and Rahan area were involved in the search. A small number of Gardaí were present at the searches on the first day, but they took no leadership role, and a number of locations had to be searched in the absence of authorities doing so. Garda Commissioner Noel Conroy in 2006 stated that, and I quote, "The searches were not carried out in accordance with normal procedures and guidelines," unquote. When Edwin discovered the body a week later, Shane's remains were pulled on the bank of the River Brosna by onlookers. Within a short space of time, the area was swarmed with curious locals. No attempt was made by Gardaí to contain the scene. This was later acknowledged to be bad practice that was somewhat, and I quote, "mitigated because the area would have been of little evidential value, as it was clear that the body did not enter the water at that point at which it was recovered, unquote. Pathology experts from elsewhere have disputed these mitigating factors on the basis that it cannot be ascertained where Shane's body went into the water. According to these independent experts, the scene should have been preserved regardless of the initial conjectures regarding the cause of death or the place at which Shane entered the river. After all, Gardaí had taken second-hand statements from family before the discovery of the body. As we know, these statements implicated a group of men and one man in particular. There was every reason to treat the death as a possible murder until this was proved otherwise. The cause of death was ruled to be, quote, death by immersion in fresh water, unquote. State pathologist at the time, Dr. John Harbison, reached this conclusion on the basis that froth was found in the bronchial airways. However, no water was present in Shane's lungs. The suicide verdict seems to have been reached, in part because it had been reported that Shane was suicidal. These reports have later been deemed, and I quote, sketchy, unquote, at best. Dr. Harbison made no mention of the possible attack. Eamon Tuohey, who was unhappy with the death by suicide verdict, sent his son's files to two pathologists in the US. Dr. Kim Collins, forensic pathologist at the Medical University of South Carolina, and Professor Greg Davis, state medical examiner for Kentucky. Neither excluded the possibility that Shane had drowned. However, they noted an injury to Shane's brain. It was swollen, and there was indications of possible trauma. Dr. Kim Collins' report concludes, and I quote, "It's my opinion that the manner of death of Shane Tuohey is indeed a homicide," unquote. Greg Davis said there were, and I quote, "enough inconsistencies in the witness statements and the circumstances surrounding the death to indicate to this forensic pathologist that the case should remain open with a manner of death undetermined, with a strong likelihood of homicide," unquote. Another aspect of unprofessional behaviour on the part of the authorities is the disappearance of CCTV footage obtained from the Clara area on the night Shane went missing. A publican by the name of John Regan can remember reviewing footage from his premises alongside Gardaí. Shane was identified as being present in the Mill House pub. These tapes were taken by the Gardaí but went missing while supposedly in their care. 2 Garda investigations took place without the aid of these tapes, and the conclusions therefore have to be questioned. Those tapes were found in 2015. When this discovery was reported 6 years ago, it was thought that crucial evidence may come to light. Questions as to how Shane came to be in the river might be answered, and there might be a possibility that the contradictory statements given by the men linked to the case might be cleared up. These men said they were at home at the time of his disappearance. Therefore, footage of them in the town of Clara, something they denied, would raise a number of issues which would require an explanation. In subsequent years, it has been revealed that one of the reasons that a verdict of suicide was reached was due to a woman by the name of Geraldine. This name was used as an alias to protect the identity of the woman and her relatives. She came into the picture after a statement she gave to police on the 11th of April 2002. The statement indicates that she was in a relationship with Shane for 1.5 years. In it, she says that Shane was a loner and talked often about suicide. It's believed that these statements were the foundation for the rumours that Shane had talked about suicide. As we stated before, they have to be deemed as, quote, sketchy, and with good reason. The brother of Geraldine has said that she is a chronic alcoholic. In a statement given to reporters in 2006, he said that her alcoholism was of a kind that didn't bode well for her continued existence. The statement she gave, and seems to be the basis for the suicide verdict, is unsigned, and her brother has said that the content in it is totally untrue. According to him, she was never in a relationship with Shane. She may have met him only once or twice, or if more than that, there was no chance she would have been savvy to suicidal thoughts, never mind the idea, noted in the statement, that she heard him talk about suicide at least once a week during their supposed time together. Geraldine was at the inquest and refuted everything mentioned in the statement. Further examination revealed that she could not remember giving a statement, and she also said that when the gardaí called to question her at her property, she was not in a sober state of mind. After years of campaigning for answers, the Tuohey family received what they considered to be good news in 2016, a new inquiry into the death of their son. However, after 5 years, they are none the wiser and have told journalists that they have been shut out. They are not privy to transcripts or information about how the inquiry is commencing. His sister Gemma Guinan had the following to say: "We have no idea of when this inquiry is to be complete, and when asked, we do not get a proper answer. I received a huge amount of paperwork under freedom of information. One internal email said, 'Tell Mr. Tuohey as little information as possible.'" Thanks once again to everyone for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please do make sure to like, comment, share and subscribe to Mystery Scope. As always, until the next time, take care.